We are back with another episode here of In Space with Chris Connor. I am your host as always. Joining me here, we got a guest that's been here 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times now. Coach Mike Cyprien. Coach Sip, what's good with you?
Can't call it, man. Thanks for having me. Good to be here again, brother.
Appreciate it, man. I'm glad we figured this out. This episode of In Space is brought to you here by DraftKings. Y'all see the code at the bottom. The 5 for the 150. New York Life as well for those that need insurance. Don't we all? And it's also brought to you here by Birdsall Law Firm. Check this out, y'all. The official injury lawyers of Bucru Media, located at 918 Poydras Street, right by the Superdome. Give them a call at 504-523-5413. If you or if somebody you know has been involved in an accident, be sure to mention that we sent you. Birdsall Law Firm, the official lawyers of Bucru Media. Now that we got a word from our sponsors, we got some basketball to talk about real quick, Mike. So I wanted to dive into the Pelicans we are currently recording the night of the second game or second stay in Utah. But the Pelicans had their win streak snapped a couple nights ago, 7 in a row. And, as always, that brings conversation. Every win brings conversation that's way above maybe, like the middle ground of sorts, and every loss, you'll see overreactions on both sides. Now, I do want to give some type of, observance to say a winning streak, talk a little bit about some of the ways that you can get back to create another winning streak. And also, hey, all wasn't lost in that Utah game.
He was on that downhill run. He restarted and then took another.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. First things first, Mike, when you get rolling and you finish an emotional high, beating Phoenix back-to-back in New Orleans, taking care of pretty much a good majority of those games from that winning streak at home, beating OKC, without the free throws, kind of trying to find your footing, and then really taking off, beating Denver, so on and so forth, beating some good teams in this stretch, having all of the attention that was brought, being first in the West, but also the way that the first game against Phoenix ended, and then doubling back a night later or 2 nights later and doing it pretty much all over to them again. The first thing I want to know is, from your perspective, what does that kind of run, that kind of confidence, even with playing without certain guys, what does that do for a team, particularly this young?
You hit right on the age, Chris. I was listening to Larry on a pod earlier, and he was mentioning like Jose, Najee, Trey. I think that us playing this well during this streak, it's impressive that you can throw out guys that are that young, that aren't seasoned veterans, and have to play. Certain guys have to play extended minutes. Dyson being 19, don't play. He doesn't play at all, and then he's getting thrown into the starting lineup. Same with Najee. Dudes don't play at all at some points, or very minimal at some points in the season, and they come in and they just like, look, BI's gonna be out, Herb's gonna be out, y'all gotta play, y'all are up, and they're ready to roll. And you go and win 7 straight, you gain some confidence through all of that. I think that's impressive. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I got from the streak, was that no matter the opponent, and kind of no matter what the lineup's looking like, it's the old next man up situation. But it's always that with veteran teams, though. Teams that have been together 3, 4, 5, 6 years, not the team that's been together basically 2 seasons, including Zion, because he hadn't played in 2 seasons. More than at least 1 season, rather.
Yeah.
So now he's just 22 years old. So you got a bunch of babies on the court, to put it in perspective, and they were handling business, and it just culminated in beating Phoenix back-to-back games at home. The second one I thought would have been a tough one, because you got to keep that same energy from the end of the first game, and we brought it to him the second one.
Yeah, and as we have learned from around the league, some of the other younger teams that are kind of trying to find their way or that are struggling right now, it's not as easy, no matter the opponent, as the Pelicans have made it look as of recent. Ain't that right, Coach Steve Clifford?
Until we care about something besides how many points we score, we're not going to win much. Can't play like that.
You know, I mean, I try to remember in these moments, like, you know, losing streaks are going to happen throughout the season. Winning streaks are going to happen. But hell, it took it's been like it was 4 years before the Pelicans had won, I think, even 5 in a row.
5. Yeah,
right.
5.
So to get there and then to add an additional 2 against the first game, a healthy Phoenix Suns team, and in the second game, while they weren't right, and you haven't been right from 100% in a little bit, pretty much the majority of games that have been played, you've been missing someone. But like you mentioned, doing it where it's almost a playoff style environment. Everything, both sides know what the other side is going to do, and they're supposedly pissed off, right? It's hard to beat a team like Phoenix back to back, whether they have Booker in the lineup. Or if 2 out of those 3 between Book, Aiden, and CP are there, I mean, they've proven, especially since Chris Paul's got in there, ever since that bubble, really, that they're a hard team to put away. So, I do want to shed some light there. Now, moving forward, the goal from here is the next winning streak. It's putting this behind you. It was a lot of fun moments there. We got a lot of quotables, a lot of fun moments, the videos and memes and things that came of it. We saw Zion being mentioned in MVP conversations. Saw a lot of role players stepping up. Najee, what's up, brother?
I just feel like I'm tougher than everybody in the world, so that's just what it is.
I'll never get tired of that video. I just won't, man. But
on the member stand club, baby.
Yeah, man. Yo, ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? Like,
baby.
Yeah, man. Najee, dog. It's very interesting as a guy coming in undrafted. People, nobody really knew, around the the fans that watched the team. You didn't know what to expect. And if I remember correctly, he didn't get off to the greatest of starts. Had a few games in the starting lineup, coming off the bench where he just didn't find his footing, and then he kind of took off. It's cool to see him having those moments and being like, I don't know how much is being talked about, but he's turning into one of those leaders in that locker room. So, but there's a lot of things that happen, a lot of positive thoughts. But you take a loss to Utah, your second loss of the year before the third game. When you look at not just the loss in total, because we know that the shooting, it's you could attempt to replicate that shooting performance, and it's going to be tough, right? That's how bad they shot. Zion turned the ball. Right. They missed a lot of uncharacteristic shots. They shot they didn't shoot free throws well, and Utah attacked them kind of very similar to the first matchup in ways the Pelicans didn't have a whole bunch of answers for it. What does the matchup? Do you think the matchup against Utah is something? Is it more about Utah or is it more about the Pelicans coming into the matchup tonight?
It's got to be about us because now you have to. It's the second team in a row that we playing them back to back. With Phoenix at the crib and then Utah on the road. So I think tonight will say more about us and doing that. If we can find a way to manufacture a split on the road against an opponent who just beat you, kind of the same way Phoenix was probably thinking when we played them last weekend. We just want to get the split, and you don't want to get swept in the season series either. Because at the end of the day, if you don't need these types of, you don't need a sweep by Utah, and all of a sudden that comes into play on the back end of the season if you fight for playoff seed. So I'm pretty sure that's factoring in to some of the guys as well. Well, we got to take care of business because we don't want to get swept by this team in the season series, and you just want to get out of there with a win. You're playing in an energetic building down here. Vibes are super high. Real good winning streak, and then you got to go all the way out. Larry mentioned the altitude, and it was tough to kind of play. It was cold and depressing in Utah. You just want to try to get a win and survive and get the heck up out of there, no matter how you win, whether you win by 1 or 21. Just get a win. So if this young team can just manufacture something good, I think it says a lot about us and how we shake back and turn 7 in a row into 8 out of 9. It just maybe last game was a blip on the radar.
So do you, because this leads into basically what we'll end with about some of the individuals that have been talked about a lot in losses and in some wins. Jonas Valanciunas, CJ McCollum, and as of late, right, Trey Murphy's going through a stretch of kind of just the ups and downs of a regular season. He by this time last year, he was on his way to the bench, right? Pretty much glued to the bench, and then soon after that to the G League for a little bit, and then back up, and then the minutes were inconsistent. But after a really good start, then a few games off, then 5 or 6 games back strong. Now he's having a few games again where teams are adjusting, and now he has to make some extra adjustments. Before we get to JV and CJ, what do you think is the most? If you were coaching Trey Murphy, what would you be telling him right now as he's trying to kind of live up to the start and a lot of the expectations that the fan base and everybody that's watching him, even opponents, are kind of holding him to?
I tell Trey, like, if you're gonna be a shooter, shoot the ball, no matter whether you're making it or missing it. Because the last thing, I don't know if you mentioned it on Twitter, I forgot who it was, but he passed up on a corner 3. And as somebody who's described as a shooter, and everybody in the league knows he can shoot, who can put it on the deck a little bit and create for himself, obviously he can get to the cup and put people in the rim. When you guys like him are passing up shots, it's written all over them, their character, that they're pressing, they're kind of panicking. And one thing I had a teammate tell me, like, if you're gonna be that, you got to be that no matter you're good or you're bad. So I tell Trey, like, shoot the rock. That's the one thing you do better than a lot of people in the league. You're just going through a stretch where you're just not making shots, and it's not like you're taking bad ones. It's not like he's one of those guys where I'm going to take a whole bunch of tough ones until I get my rhythm right. But what I don't want Trey to do is just pass up on good looks because he's afraid of missing. Because then you'll become a liability. Maybe not over a stretch of games, but just for that moment. So if you're not gonna shoot it, bro, then don't play, because that's what makes you. To be honest with you.
So closing out here, Mike, Jonas and CJ, at the level that Zion's playing right now on both sides of the floor, offensively and defensively, most nights all he really is gonna need is a little bit of help. Okay?
Yeah.
And two of the guys that you're paying, one, you're paying a lot more money than the other, but two of the individuals with Brandon Ingram being out, Herb Jones working himself back out, but even with the healthy Herb Jones, two of the guys that are supposed to be guys that can pretty much give you 20 each night or any night are kind of struggling or have been inconsistent. We've watched Jonas have trouble staying on the floor. Right, some nights he'll go out and play 20 plus minutes. Other nights he may only play 15, depending on the matchup. Inconsistency with taking care of matchups and opponents and having his way when the team needs him. And there have been nights, maybe like the first 2 games to start the year and the series with the Bulls, where he played fantastic.
Yeah.
But CJ, when you look at these two guys right now, when you look at Jonas, you look at CJ, what do you think is the most important part, or what's going to be most important for them to be a part of, being big parts consistently of helping this team get on another winning streak, even if it's not 7, or is it just a matter of time?
I think them dudes are veteran enough. They've seen enough of the league. Obviously CJ being in the league a decade, same with JV, that it's just a matter of time. I was more concerned with CJ because, well, not as much as I was maybe 7 games ago, but I'm more concerned with CJ because he was really he was one of those guys that was going to shoot himself back into rhythm no matter how difficult the shot was. But that's because all he knows. That's because that's all he's known. That's all he's ever been, was a bucket getter. And I think he's smart enough to watch the film and self-evaluate and figure out, like, okay, let my young boys get me easy shots. Let me get it to Najee early. He can attack closeouts and he can pass it, and then the ball will find me. Same with Zion. Let Zion create and take the pressure off me, so I can just catch and shoot. JV's situation is difficult in that if it's a bad matchup out the gate, then not only is he working super hard on defense, he may not get the touches that he's want. Because I watched the possession where he couldn't chase down a defensive rebound, and then the pace of the game just blew past him,
Yeah.
and he was last. He was last up the court. So he'll never find a rhythm if the game is moving too fast. JV needs the game to slow down for him a little bit. I do think when Bi gets back, the Di does a good job of helping on the glass, but he can get into some of those early screen and roll actions, and he does a good job of finding JV in those early ball screen actions. And he's a willing post passer too. I think sometimes I've seen guys pass up JV when he's posting deep.
Yeah.
And every now and then, man, if that dude's working, you gotta, even if he doesn't score, you just gotta let the ball touch his hands in a spot where he's comfortable. Right now, JV spaces a lot. He plays on the perimeter a lot, and I don't think he's super comfortable. And he can shoot it. He can shoot the three, but that's not what he prefers to do first. I think he prefers to play on the block. So I think the coaching staff's got to find a way to find, with the minutes they give him, find a way to get him touches where he's comfortable at within the flow of the game, though. I just think that it just depends on the matchup, unfortunately, for JV. Just the speed of the game is going too fast. He can't find a rhythm because he's not used to playing in the up and down pace.
Yeah.
But I think it's a matter of time with the two of them because they're veterans, and I think they'll get it figured out. Like I said, they've seen enough of the league and good wins and bad losses and, good and bad stretches individually. I think they can get it figured out over time, though. You just got to get healthy and stay healthy for a good stretch.
Yeah. I agree with that, Mike. I think, unfortunately, I've been trying myself to try to find ways to say, okay, how can you exercise the most out of Jonas no matter who's out there? And I think you're starting to see with the way teams are certain matchups are attacking the Pelicans, there just may not be a way. Now, I mean, there's just going to be certain matchups, like you mentioned, where Larry's going to be a better option, or even Zion, who's played a lot more minutes and successful minutes at the 5 this year than the previous season, at the 5, and so on and so be it, or maybe someone that they acquire down the line. And then for CJ, I mean, we're talking about one of the best jump shot makers in the game. Like, a lot of his buckets come off jumpers. But I do remember last year where he used that ability to get himself into a lot of layups, a lot of runners, get into the free throw line. And that's what, in this period, specifically without Bi, I think when Bi comes back, he'll be fine. A guy like Bi is going to make life easier on everybody once they start getting everything back. It's how he is. And then Bi shooting the ball well from deep, like, that part is going to help CJ tremendously. Zion's going to be Zion as long as you use him right. And even sometimes when you don't use him right, if he's in this mental capacity, it's not going to matter who's out there. He's going to be phenomenal. That's generational. That's Gen Z. But, CJ, for someone who's relying so much on his jump shot right now, it's not falling. His legs, they come and go depending on the night, depending on the game. I'm really curious what the other things that are done to kind of get him into rhythm, specifically early, whether it be a layup, whether it be a free throw, just not just from play calls, off ball, but what he does in trying to get that rhythm going to where he's not searching to find it strictly through jumping, or strictly through shooting the ball, when right now to start the year he's shooting like 32% from three. I think from the field, like 40%, it might be less than that. So I'm with you though. I do think it's only a matter of time. So yeah, man. Mike, I look forward to seeing how they respond tonight. I think I said on the recap that we did that I'd be more concerned or more upset, or even if you want to call it that, or scratching my head if they come out and lose by 20 again. In the second matchup, right? I mean, that's what you at that point you're like, okay, like that's weird. They should find a way, I think, they should be settled. A lot of guys should be refreshed. You had an extra day off, you're settled. You didn't have to move anywhere. You didn't have to travel. You should be inspired to come out and handle business. That's pretty much all I got, man. Mike, Coach, let everybody know where they can follow you at, where they can read your content, what you got upcoming next. Floor is yours.
Coach Ship Nola, Twitter. Coach Ship Nola, IG. Both handles are the same. And FDL Hoops. FDL stands for Film Don't Lie. That's where I'll put all of my scouting content. That'll be FDL Hoops on IG. A lot of content on there. Like I said, I don't help the big guys out. I help the small guys out, the low majors, small college D2s, talk to agents, help guys just kind of get their names out there, get their games out there. So, like I said, Coach Ship Nola, Instagram and Twitter, and FDL Hoops. I run that. That's the IG scouting account, and that's where you can find me at if I'm in front of the film, man, or in front of the TV watching basketball. Something.
All right, man. I definitely appreciate it. Pelicans fans, appreciate y'all pulling up. Non-Pelicans fans, y'all keep pulling up. But I want to close out here. Remember, it can always be worse.
Take 2 free throws, go up 4, different ball game. So to me, the rest doesn't matter. Have a chance to ice the game, miss both.
Oh man.
You appreciate y'all. You in space. We out.